Hey everyone, it's Jessica with Events by Jess. I am super excited today. We're gonna be talking about honeymoons in our wedding series, Engaged AF. And for those of you who remember, this is my baby Cosita. She wanted to join us for a little bit today. And so, one of my favorite topics is to talk about honeymoons, partly because I love traveling. So I love to kind of get involved in this process. Although this process isn't necessarily a wedding planner's process, I did want to talk about it because it is important to the wedding as well. So in terms of my tips for honeymoon, my number one tip that I tell all my couples is if your wedding is Saturday, do not leave Sunday, leave Monday. So that's number one, making sure you leave Monday, or at least give you one full day after the wedding. It gives you a chance to really kind of check out or get out of wherever you were getting ready, get all your stuff together, and then at the same time, pack your stuff, go home for a second, regroup, and leave the next day, okay? So I think that's super important for that. Next thing I wanted to talk about was how to decide where you wanted to go. So I think this really depends on you guys. If you wanted to do an adventure or something tropical, or if you wanted to do a mix, you know, a little bit of both. For our honeymoon, we did super adventurous. We did Australia and New Zealand, but we did have a combination of tropical in that because in Australia we were able to stay by the Great Barrier Reef, and it's called Hamilton Island, and it was absolutely gorgeous, and we had 4 days of beautiful beaches and just bliss, and it was awesome, really, especially after a 36-hour plane ride to get over there. So it was definitely intense. So figuring out what you want, whether you want tropical, whether you want adventure, or if you want a mix. And you can get a mix anywhere, really. There's a lot of amazing places. So finding out where you guys want to travel together, that's the number one thing you have to do first. Number two is when is the best time to travel where you want to go. So when you get married, you guys can decide what you want to do. And so I think it's key. When we decided that we were going to do Australia and New Zealand, we didn't know when was the best time to go. So obviously that was the first thing I researched, which it was actually better to go a few months after. So what we did first was actually a mini moon directly after the wedding, which is great, by the way. I highly recommend this. If you cannot do a full honeymoon, do a little bit of a mini moon. Give yourself a few days to be together, stay in your wedding cloud, you know, your little cloud 9 of wedding bubbles. Stay in there as long as you can, because it's such a nice little bubble to be in, to be honest. And so just doing we did something super tropical, super chill, especially right after the wedding, because it's a lot and you just kind of want to relax. And so we did a little bit of a mini moon, something that was easy, that we can do, no problems. And then 2 months later, we did our big trip, and it was awesome, you know, but that was also the best time to travel to that destination. So you're gonna wanna see that, because you don't wanna hit up an amazing destination and it just wasn't the right time to travel. Particularly some places only have certain times that you should travel there. For example, Greece is a huge one. The best time to travel there is the summertime, you know, so they really have an on-season starting more or less April. You can go March, but a lot of things are closed all the way until about October. And so you want to keep that in mind depending where you guys want to go and when you're getting married. So super important. Number 3 I put was how many days do you want to go? I recommend at least 2 weeks. And then I love to do 2 weeks there, a day to travel in, a day to travel out. So I'm all about that. If I can make that happen, of course, with my work schedule and my husband's work schedule, I think that's super important. But sometimes with tropical, you're not gonna wanna do 2 weeks, because sometimes you can really only do so much when you're just laying out on the beach. Although I know it sounds fantastic and we all wanna do it, 2 weeks of it might be a little bit much. At least it is for me, in my opinion. But an adventurous one where you're kind of jumping around and doing a bunch of different things, you're gonna want that time, especially if you're exploring a new country that you guys have never been to. And so for us, we did about a week in Australia and about a week in New Zealand, and we had to split up that week of New Zealand into the southern and northern islands of New Zealand. So I think we ended up doing 16 days on land and 2 days of travel for me to be able to split it all up. And so the way that I kind of do it is I look, first research, obviously, when is the best time to go, kind of figure out how many days I'm going to need based off of where I want to go and what I want to see, and if I need to do flights and if I need to jump around. We did 16 flights, I remember, in 16 days for that trip. So it was absolutely insane. It was 4 flights just to get over there and 4 flights to get back. So that's already 8, plus all the moving around that we did. It was insane, but let me tell you, it was one of the best trips we ever took. And it takes a lot of planning to plan some of these trips. It really, really does. And so take your time with it for sure. Start in advance, okay? Sources, where to find and look for hotels, airline tours. I'm huge at using almost every source when I plan these things. So in terms of hotels and airlines, I will easily look on Expedia, the same way I will look on their websites. All of these booking.coms, Priceline, any of these places, I will look there the same way I will look on the website. So if I want to confirm that the price I'm seeing on some of these bargain websites is the same or better than what I'm seeing on the actual hotel's website or airline's website itself. Sometimes what I love about Expedia is that it gives me about 24 hours to cancel. So if I find something I like, I still have 24 hours in case I find something else. So I always give myself a reminder, because if you do not cancel it, they will charge you for it and they do not refund. But if I book a flight that I love, I know I have 24 hours in case I want to change it, so I have to do some work from here to then. But it does give you that little bit of window so you know exactly what it is that you need to do. So I always look on there and on the airline or hotel's website to compare and to see if even sometimes, not all the time, but the hotel will let you cancel obviously later on. Sometimes some airlines will let you hold flights, like American Airlines and things like that, for 24 hours. So that's huge. For tours, I'm super into Viator these days. I think Viator is a great website, has great reviews, and I think some of the best companies out there. In terms of my tours, I haven't had a bad experience yet with Viator, and I've been using them for a few years now. And I do love almost, I want to say every tour I've ever taken on there. And so it's really important to make sure that you look at reviews and obviously vouch the tours themselves to make sure that obviously you guys are comfortable with it. But I think price-wise, value, quality, the whole 9, I really get from the Viator website, okay? And I've done tours all over the world with Viator, from Turkey to Greece, Croatia, Australia, New Zealand. We've done them all through Viator, and we've had a really great experience all over the world with them. So I'm super big on that. So next thing is you want to see if you need any visas or vaccines to where you need to go. That's super important. We did India for about a week or so, and you need like a gazillion vaccines and your own visa for that. So there is paperwork in most cases that you need to do for some of these countries. Some countries, India's visa is pretty complicated. Some countries either do not have a visa or do not require for an American. And then some are super simple. Like I think it was New Zealand, you just had to pay $20 through the website and it was instant. You know, so again, every country is a little different, but make sure you do your research on that because it's super important to know so you're not caught up last minute with it or having to rush to send in paperwork, okay? So I did get some questions on honeymoons from you guys. So what are some top destinations? Again, I'm a huge fan of Greece. I know I've said it a couple times, but I've been a few times and it's just an amazing little group of islands. The first time I went, we spent about 2 weeks out there and we just took a bunch of ferries and saw a ton of islands and it was gorgeous. The second time we went out, we did another 2-week trip, but we only stopped at Greece for about 4 or 5 days and then went off to a bunch of different other parts of Europe. So I think that's an amazing trip if you've never gone out there. I'm a firm believer in New Zealand as well. I loved Iceland if you're into adventure. I'm all for it. I think it was absolutely amazing. In terms of tropical, I love any of our Caribbean islands. Huge fan of Jamaica, Dominican Republic. They're just so fun and chill. Mexico's obviously always great. I know a ton of people love Hawaii as well. I'm not a huge fan of Hawaii just because the price is American price versus I can get that tropical feel in the Caribbean. But I know that Hawaii is absolutely gorgeous and I visited a few of the islands out there and they are beautiful. There is no doubt in that. And so just finding the spot that means the most to you guys, I think is super important. But those are some of my top destinations for sure. How soon should we book if we are going to Italy? So a specific question. I think Italy is one of those places where you can find good fares pretty much year round. I haven't really had too many issues. I've been to Italy, I think it's twice. And I found pretty good prices. There's really not too much of an issue. I love Italy. I love certain parts of Italy. I'm not a huge fan of Italy, but I do think everyone needs to go once in their life, especially now that Venice is officially underwater almost. So it's kind of important. But if you're going to book to go to Italy, make sure you go to the Amalfi Coast and to Tuscany. Those are two of my absolute favorites, probably ever. And they're just so beautiful. So don't miss out on those if you're going to Italy. And I would book this trip, a honeymoon trip, I would probably book about 6 months in advance if you can, okay? It's probably what I would recommend. This way it gives you enough time to do everything else that you need to do, like hotels, like tours, plan out your days and so forth, okay? In terms of flights, I always give my couples these tips. If you're going to, for example, go to Italy, you're more than likely gonna fly into a major city like Rome. Perfectly fine. There's a few others that have good pricing. But if you're gonna fly into Rome, let's say on Monday, make sure that you are not leaving Rome until Tuesday. You give yourself about a day or two before you're moving from there. And the reason is if there's any delays on your flights, changes, or anything, you're not missing out on anything else that you've booked. Okay? And if you're flying, for example, in and out of Rome, you're gonna wanna make sure that you are in Rome the day before you leave. Okay? So if you're leaving Saturday, making sure you're back in Rome by Friday. Okay? So again, bar any transportation issues, flying issues, whatever. Okay? You are there and you do not miss your big trip, your big in and out. That's the most important at the end of the day. Okay? So that's a quick tip from me as well. Another question I get is, should we do a honey fund at our wedding? I love the honey fund. I did it. I don't really 100% like the 2.5–3% that they take off, of course, off the fees. But it was a really great way for people to electronically give towards our wedding, or our honeymoon, better said, throughout the wedding planning process. So that was actually pretty cool. Honey Fund makes it seem like they are, like your guests are giving towards a specific thing in your honeymoon. So for example, a massage or a dinner or a tour, whatever the case might be. And then it really is just cash in your account. If it's connected to your account, it's almost like a PayPal and it just transfers directly into your account. So in that sense, it's pretty cool and it's really easy. We were able to get a lot of those, not only throughout the process, but the same day. Since a lot of people don't have cash, they're like, oh my God, that's right, let me donate to your honey fund. And they just sent money through there. And so we got a lot of that as well. So again, not everybody does that, but I feel like some of the newer generations are definitely into the electronic and the easy. What is the easiest type of honeymoon? I got that question. A cruise. A cruise is definitely the easiest. It's the most laid back. It's already planned out for you. You just have to figure out the basics on getting in and out and where you want to go. There's a lot of amazing cruises out there too. There's cruises through the Mediterranean. That's one of the ways I originally saw. I think it was Italy and Sicily and Monaco and all those kind of places. So that's a great way to go. And then there's also cruises in Asia, which are super cool too, that'll take you through China and Japan and stuff like that. So there are some really amazing cruises out there. Obviously, some are pricier than others. So make sure you look into that, but that is definitely an easy kind of way to do the honeymoon without having to do all of the planning and all of the moving. So I hope you guys enjoyed our honeymoon session on our Engaged AF wedding series. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not already for more tips and tricks from me, Jess from Events by Jess. I'll see you guys next time.